encouragement that I can say is each day gets a little better, but trying to work from home and also teach your own child, if again, you have to find the structure. So if you have something you know you have to do for work, address that, and then you're going to have to kind of structure your home situation around meeting that deadline. For me, what I try to do is accomplish from my work end, and I know that this isn't possible for everybody, but I set one time management goal for myself, to say I have to accomplish this today. And then I have to take care of everything else that's happening. I mean, we all have our work deadlines, but in reality, there is so much else happening right now, right? besides home learning. If you have to clean your house, or you have to figure out how you're going to get food to the house that day, these are these are the things that have to be taken care of. Does that help?
I think it's still
muted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. All right, I can unmute it. All right.
I'm
Kelly, do
gonna
you have any other questions? You can drop it
that
in
helps,
the chat.
sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
All right.
Helps. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, Sally.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. On the flip side of Carolyn, I have to deal with the children who are not even interested in what you're doing. And I give you an example, and a lot of what Carolyn has said also apply to the high school. If you have a teenager in your household, the difference though is you basically have to find some way to let them see that, number one, this is not a vacation. It's a new norm for us, but I find it because I have my child, a daughter who's in grade 12. And luckily for me, from in grade 11, I made her work independently. And when I said that, she was responsible for scheduling her timing and everything. And so it's just so now that we're in this situation, she could sort of cope. And so one of the things that I do, my child is not a morning person. And so the only reason why she actually cope in school, because she had to go there, but she is not a morning person. And I had to realize that, okay, you're home. I cannot force the time that you're in school to do your schoolwork. And so as soon as we were on shutdown, we had that conversation. And so once, at least at the age where they can understand, that's the one thing I tell parents and I tell anybody, you have to sit. Don't assume that students are aware and knowing what is going on, because even for us, we could even have a conversation with them and still don't know the outcome. And so we established the parameters. Okay, we know we're in here for 2 weeks. This is what we're gonna do, and we are in this together. And just like she said, we had a schedule. I said, okay, I would get up in the morning and say, what are you doing in the morning? And she was like, I'm doing a class. And I'll wake her up thinking, oh, this is for me. It was like, okay, it's still school time. So I get up early. I meditate. So I'm thinking, no, forgetting that she's not a morning person. I don't have to force her to go. She doesn't have to go to school. And so she isn't worried about getting up at all bad. And so I literally, but she's like, Mommy, what you waking me up 7 o'clock in the morning for? I don't have to go to school. I said, but you have to do work. And she literally said, but I could do it in my time. And basically that is working for me. You understand? And so what I do is I just go and I check, because even though we are giving them independence, and this is important, even though we are allowing them to be independent as a parent, we still have to guide and make sure that they are doing actually what they say they're doing, and not on a gadget playing games and all of that. And so that's as important. So it's a new norm, like Carolyn said. So you work it day by day, and once you get a structure. And the one thing I tell, because I know I have some teachers in here, and just like you, even though I'm working from home, at first I was like, yes, I have the chance to work from home. This is so ideal. But listen to me, I am praying that I can go back to work, because it's less distracting. It's less distracting for me, besides the fact that I have to deal with my daughter. And like Carolyn said, deal with the house, menial tax. So you're a housewife, you're a teacher, you're a parent, you're a teacher again. you know? And so you have to balance all of these and still trying to figure out. And besides that, you're still, as much as an adult as we have to touch it. We are like, this isn't normal for us. So we are thinking way ahead. When is this going to end? How is this going to affect us? And so you have to have, for me, what I do is I make sure I have a me time. And my me time could be, I don't care, like how Carolyn said, the workload is hectic. And so in order for me not to become overwhelmed, this is what I do. If I have a deadline from my job, because for the past 3 weeks, that's basically what I had to do. Because like Carolyn, now we are forced to put in the position where we have to provide resources and actually get into this virtual learning. This is new to us. And so I'm learning as I go. And so if I'm learning as I go and you still have requirement for me, then I can get frustrated very easily. So I had to take a step back and say, Sally, you have to structure. You have to have some kind of structure. And so for the past couple of days, I've been changing. You can't just be rigid. You have to be able and susceptible to change. All right. And for example, they were required, we had a Zoom meeting, and they were like, okay, we cannot get the information up because we are waiting on persons to give us the information. And I had to literally say to them, yes, we understand that you want us to start on this particular day, but what do you want? Do you want quality over versus quantity, or you want a balance of both? Because I can just give you something. But if you're putting that in persons, we might say just people in the Bahamas, but this is worldwide. And so it has to represent you. And if I'm providing the resources and I'm going through it and I'm editing it and I'm making it, and this is like for 3 levels, by the way, Carolyn. Yeah, so basically I'll be a curriculum officer becoming a resource supplier. And you have to do it, and they're requiring you to do 3 lessons per week for each grade level. You understand? And then you have to put a forecast grade. And so all of that, and then you have to touch base with your teachers or your subject coordinators to make sure that they are okay. And so I had to take a step back and like, wow, God, this is huge. How am I going to tackle this? And I find, just like you said, you decide what is important. And while we might, especially for younger persons, we have to realize that yes, they're young, and yes, we want them to have that time with education. Remember, if you give them so much work, they're gonna be burnt out. And eventually when it's time for them, they're not gonna be interested in it. But on the flip side, with the high school, you have to have a rigid structure for them because they are different. All right. And if they don't have and you have to be consistent with it as well. And so for her, my daughter, she said her day begins at 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock, I go, if she doesn't up, I will knock on her door, because her room is a sanctuary. Like also what Carolyn said, you have to find a space in your room. And we are practicing social distance tea. So I would see her, she'll come, Mommy, I want something to eat. You're going to cook, or who's going to cook? And even that, we share the responsibility as well. Because like you said, they should be at a point where they could go and look for themselves. That's the advantage of having a teenager if we have trained them well. And I literally let her know we are in this together. And so the household chores, everything, yes, we are going to share it. And so while she has classes, and if I'm not, and I would schedule my break time around that. While she's in her classes, I would schedule my break time, make sure I'll cook, I'll even prepare a meal beforehand. And I'm like, this is what you are going to eat. You make sure I do it for 2 days. And if it run out, I have snacks. And I said, and even with that, I said, you still be cognizant of the fact that we're in a lockdown, which means you can't be eating like it's you on a hotel or a vacation. And so you still have to monitor. Well, fortunately for me, my child weighed and she doesn't eat like that. So sometimes I don't have to worry about that. But that is some of the things because, and also like I told my sister, so she came and she was calling me, you have to get to the point where you marry in what they were used to what they're not used to. And I saw a parent, she said what she did was she would have had these tray where she put out the tray and said, this is your snack for the day. And if you run through this, that's it. You understand? And she have it color code and everything. And that this is what you were responsible for. And so that is the other thing. But in terms of trying to get them to be independent, your role also become a teacher as well. Because while I find that what is happening, because I've had a lot of parents calling me, and what they're saying that even us as teachers, and I know some teachers are on here as well, while we are giving them work, we have to understand they're not in class. So you don't know their psyche, you don't know their background, you're not in their home, you don't know, some of them might even take on the responsibility, like a parent might have to, they are older, so their parent might give them some parental responsibility, or their little one. You have to take all of these into consideration when you're sending homework, assignment, and deadline. And one of the things when we did with the that's is one of the reasons why we pushed to get the virtual school, because if you with the virtual school, and we are recommending parents to go to that, and we're recommending teachers, you don't have to do the work on your own. The virtual school is up right now, so you go in and check it out and see what it is there. How can I marry this into what I want my students, the student that I'm connecting with? And don't get frustrated if you're not getting all of your students. It's impossible for you to reach all. It is very, because you have some parents who don't even have the access to internet. And so that's the next thing up for us as teachers. I know I'm talking to some parents who are also teachers, and also some parents trying not to become overwhelmed if you cannot. What it is virtual, and it is always there. And so what you would do as if you could get one day have your phone, and you could have the students go and do some reading. Like Carolyn said, they have a lot, if you go online, there's a lot of free program that is available. Khan Academy is excellent. You could go to that, and you can, let them go one by one, and let them say, at the end of the day, this is what you are going to do. So, and at the end, before we go to bed, we have that meeting. And I'm like, what did you do today? What did you get accomplished today? And she was like, oh, I had my teacher had a Zoom lesson today. I had an econ lesson today. And I'm like, what's about the other subject? And so trying to keep them balanced. And so that's what it is. And as teachers, our norm changed, because now we are now teachers, and we are also parents. So we also have to marry and figure out how we're going to do that. Because yes, we are concerned about meeting deadline, but it shouldn't get to the point where you putting that over, because you still have a child to think about. And
It's
so
true.
It's finding a balance.
Yeah. So Sally,
finding a balance in this is schedule. If you like Ed would say, if your schedule ain't working, don't get stressed out. This
reschedule.
is Rome was not built in a day.
Right.
The same thing applies here. You just got to take this one day at a time. You might have 10 things. And I realized there's a lesson in what we're going through, but this is going to bring out our leadership skills, our organizational skills. It's also going to test our mental capacity as well, and what we can deal with. And if it's just 2 weeks for us, it's just going on 2 weeks, and we are already burnt out. You can imagine if they extend another week, or another 2 weeks, because we do not know. And so
Sally, let me ask you this. Now, I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to do all these things. No, listen, no. There's a scenario. I'm trying to find a balance. But then I just find out that Cambridge canceled their exams. But hold on. But we keep an eye. Tell me now what I'm going to do for coursework for social studies.
Okay, now, we were told that we were going to get shut down. The first thing what I would admonish parents to do, make sure for social studies, because it is divided into 4 pieces, right, which means 2 of the pieces should have already, notice I'm stressing should.
Already being done.
Already be completed. And so you only have the research part to do. Yes, right. You only have the research part to do, because the other 2 pieces should have been in class assignments. Mm-hmm. That's not the norm for everybody, but let's be realistic. Some teachers teach it and give the students to do it on their own. So which means your child may even have those 4 pieces to do.
Right.
But one of them actually are going to require the help of a teacher's assistant. Mm-hmm. And say wherever possible, however, if you can reach out to your teachers, but it's also that go into the I don't want to seem like I'm promoting the virtual school, but yes, in essence, that's what I'm doing, mm-hmm, because everything you need is there. And right. So you go on to the virtual school, and they have a whole video clipping of how to with each question. And so
social studies.
Yes, for social studies.
Oh, awesome.
They also, I checked it out. Besides putting up the lesson, I've been putting up the lesson every 2 weeks. I tell them I can't do that one for 4 weeks. I have to spread it out.
Right.
You would see up to 4 weeks of teaching lesson where your child should be. And there's also a section on it where they have past papers to help your students with social studies PJC. So if you can't find it in any other platform, I would say go and check it out and see what they're doing. Now, don't worry. Another thing, what I need to stress to parents, don't worry so much about assessment right now and how the students are going to get graded. What I suggest to parents is what in doing, having to do resources, one of the things I realized, I said, if I'm going to do this, I can't be putting up 3 lessons for grade 7 and then uploading a worksheet every day. So the best thing for me to do is put it like a little booklet form. And then what I do in my other resources, or what given is what I'm telling my teachers, what you do if you have PowerPoints, you're telling them do the video, you just put a note to tell the students, okay, after you would have gone through this lesson, you need to target 3 and 4. And so, and it makes it easier for parents, because what you could do is you can copy, if you have access to copying that, and then you could allow the students to complete the work. There are many ways they could complete it, and they could screenshot it and send it to the teachers. And the teachers then could, in their time, because you know, another thing, they don't want to touch these material. That's another thing they're saying. And so we have to figure out how. And so what I'm doing to my students that I'm teaching, I like PowerPoint, because I just find out that now in PowerPoint teachers on here, you can mark students' work, thanks to one of my teachers who told me that you can actually mark the children work. It might not be the perfect, if those of you who like to be perfect 98%, no, you just want the grade. And so you, in slideshow, I think there's something called annotation. When you go in there, you can actually, the students can actually do the work in the PowerPoint, and you just tick it and you mark it and you grade it and you send it back to the students. And so that way you will keep grade. The other thing, like I said, if they're doing it, you just let a student take a picture, and then they email it to you as well, and you figure out how you're not touching it, because you're not touching their work, you're touching yours, and you could still mark it and send it back to them. And so it goes back even in terms of how our assessment is done. Parents are saying, and I think I should address it, they're like, but it's still the work are there, and how are we gonna know that the students' work is corrected and all? Again, try to find, if you cannot find a child's teacher, myself, I'm available, other teachers are available who know the subject. And you could even say, you could, because we are in this together, and you could say, when my child is given this assignment on work school and they're having problem with this, I know you're not her teacher, and I haven't been in school from umpteen years, so I can't even remember Pythagoras' theorem, and God help me with calculus. Yeah, I go to math, that was never that kind. And so you find somebody in your group or target who knows who's done well in math. And I say, can I just share with you, or see if you would point us if my child doing this correct or not? Yeah. All right. The first instance, like if you can get to the teacher, that's fine. Mm-hmm. You know? And so, and I know also I'm going to address this too. Teachers who are teachers, y'all complaining, but the teachers who send in work, and y'all are teachers, and y'all know what. So I was going to call them teachers. I said, look here, I say literally, I called, because that's what I did. I said, my child don't get work on a regular base, smallest work on a regular base. How you sending me all this work for my child? You forget that we're home, and my child. So we have to be real. Yeah. You know, and then let them know that, hey, yes, I understand the work, but this deadline I ain't gonna meet no 14 deadline. You giving me 10 pieces of work, and I gotta now be as well as go and deal with the child. Yeah. And so that's a conversation. Mm-hmm. That's good, Sally, because we got a lot of pointers from that. Just you notice that there's a difference between high school and primary. And especially with what we're dealing with, where we have kids that are taking the national exam, still the exams around the world canceled, but we're still here with kids who need to take the national exam. So, you know, that's a fear most people have, especially parents, like, how are my children going to do these exams when it's time to go back to school, if we do go back, you know? Thank you. So does anybody have any questions for Sally on anything, whether it be the BJC or if it's any other questions? Because, you know, she might be the officer for junior, but she has a senior high student. So if anyone has any questions, daughter. Senior high daughter. Everything is student. Yeah, that's right. Oh my goodness. The teacher and us. I tell you. So anyone has any questions before we move on to Miss Mawika?
I'll give everybody a chance. And then what we'll do is at the end, we'll open it up. If anyone wants to give some pointers or everybody wants to ask general questions, we're going to do that as well. Okay, so thank you, Sally. We're going to move on to Moika. All right, Miss Moika, that's you. Oh, that's the wrong person. Sorry. I thought you tell me it was on something else. Hold on. You could unmute yourself. Go ahead. I got you. Go ahead. I got you. Go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon or good evening, colleagues. Can you hear me well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
yes, teacher.
All right. So my task this evening is to speak about some homeschool tips with regards to language arts. I am in the junior high school level, so I can tackle the BJC. Okay. Now, I'm just gonna drop some interesting pointers for you, those of you in your hearing. So the first thing you need to recognize with language arts, unlike any other subject, you actually cannot study language arts. That's the first thing. Language arts is not something that you would study. Rather, it's something that you would practice because it has specific skills that you have to follow. So just like with an artist has to follow or practice the skill of painting in order to perfect his craft. So whereas he may study specific artists and their works, but when it comes to actually painting and becoming a professional, he has to practice, okay? So with language arts, we have some areas, 5 areas that we work with: reading, writing, listening, comprehension, and communication. So all of these are skills that we work with on a daily basis throughout our lives. So when we talk about practice with repetition, we're talking about practicing these specific skills. Now, as we all know, we're homeschooling right now. So the question is for the parent and for the teacher parent, all right, how do I make this work? What time do I have? How can I fit in assignments and what's not to make it productive? So what I want to say to you is the first thing, and I think everybody has been saying it all evening, do not try to mimic the school setup. You are not in school. Think about it. Your school setup runs from 8:45 to 3:15 every single day, Monday to Friday. Now, the difference is with your school setup, you have an entire team. You have an administrative team, you got your teaching staff, custodial staff, clerical staff, security. So you are not in the school from 8:45 to 3:15 doing everything yourself. Your students don't stay with you from 8:45 to 3:15 in the junior high, okay? And even in the primary, you have moments where they go to PE and what's not. So that's the first thing. Don't try to mimic the school because you're not there. And it takes a whole team to make that school day productive. So that's the first thing I want you to think about. So the scheduling part of it, try not to follow the school schedule. All right, don't do it to yourself because you're gonna make it overwhelming for yourself. All of the activities and programs that we do within the school day is tailored or centered around school. But now you're at home, so you have a different dynamic. So you're gonna have activities and programs that is focused towards your family, your spouse. If you're a parent and now you work at home remotely, you also have to give time for your job that you have to work at home now, along with your child. So you're not in the school environment where 8:45 to 3:15, we got it like clockwork. It's organized, we know period 1, 2, 3, 4 what's gonna happen. So that's the first thing. So with your scheduling, what I would say is this, okay? Try, this is what I would say for language arts. Try to work it within 2 to 3 hours, and that's not just language arts, but other topics as well. Don't take the whole day, just school, because it's gonna set the child crazy, I mean, so to speak, and you are going to be annoyed, okay? You are going to get frustrated. Nobody wants to be at home, just school, all day. So give 2 to 3 hours, because remember now, you the parent, you're the staff. you're the staff at home. You running the show. So you can't just, have yourself going. It's not going to work. So I would say 2 to 3 hours for that academic focus type, instruction. Now, when we think about that, we also have to think about, I'm looking through my notes I've written down here. Give me a minute. We also have to think about when we talk about class time. So we know we're not going to go with the school schedule, but we got to think about class time. In junior high, we teach lessons for 55 minutes. Okay? Now, we're teachers, we're trained teachers. So we know how to do the introduction, the development, the activities, and all of that stuff to fill up that time. We're trained for that. But at home, you don't have time just for one lesson to be 55 minutes all the time. Sometimes you can do that, but sometimes you got to give yourself a break. So for those of us who are teachers, what do we call our shorter lessons? Mini lessons. So go to the mini lessons, okay? I like to say, give the children the work in sips. Don't give it to them in gulps. With my class, my 7A class, I see Mrs. Tucson on here, their homeroom teacher. My 7A class, I've been meeting with them, and I started meeting with my grade 8. And listen to me, I don't give them anything over 30 minutes. I do not give them anything over 30 minutes, okay? The only thing I do, and I don't even meet with them every day, I give them work every other day. So they will get work on Monday for 30 minutes. I'll give them 15 minutes of instruction, and then the remainder of the time, they can complete the assignment. And then Wednesday I come again, and then Friday I come again. I stagger it because I know they're at home. I know their parents are probably frustrated as well. Everybody is frustrated. And I don't want to take up the entire time just, school. So that's what I do. I give them mini lessons. And so far, I've gotten like five or six assignments completed by that class. Now, they're the top streams. So that's another thing that's working in my favor. All right. And I use the Zoom right like this, and I record for 30 minutes. I go through a little mini lesson. I get a concept. I pull it out of a large topic. I chop that topic into small chunks, and I just go piece, and I'm getting my assignments from there. All right, so that's one thing you can do. Don't try to go for the 55 minutes and the introduction, development, activities. Why are you doing all that at home? Why are you putting out your projector at home to try to teach your children? You don't have no whiteboard and mark at home, so why are you doing it?
We bored. we bored. We need the classroom.
You need that thing, eh? So just do your mini lessons, man, and work through it. Now with the assignments part of it, you don't always have to go content heavy, okay? Now language arts is a content heavy subject. We know that. It drives a lot of the other subjects. So with the BJC, there is a website called the Student Shed, thestudentShed.com, and they have past language arts papers from 2011 up to 2018. So what you can do, get the paper offline if you're able to print it, or just allow the student to use their cell phone or some device. And you could take the first 5 questions, reading comprehension. They read the passage and then tell them, okay, just answer the first 5 questions today. The next day, all right, complete the next 5. Then the next day, you have that directed writing piece, which is an essay piece. Complete that piece. Boom. They then cover a reading comprehension exercise. It took 30 minutes. You got time to rest, watch your little hallmark, put your foot up, mark your papers, use your time. You're getting the work done, but you're not stressing, okay? Another thing that you wanna look at is with the giving of the instruction. That's another thing, all right? If you're a parent, don't try to be the rest of us. We've been trained. Some of us on here have 20 years in teaching, 20 plus years. So we know all the methodologies, the pedagogies, the scales, the techniques like the back of our hand. And so do not try to be us, because that's not your line of work, all right? And plus, when we teach with the critical or the evaluative eye. So a lot of times we teach and then we know what we want, and then we know what we're going to evaluate. We know how we're going to do it. So we are trained for that. Now with you, I'm not telling you not to assess your children's work, but instead of taking the approach of, I'm the teacher, you're the student, right? Why not try to take the approach of, I'm your study partner. I'm here to work with you through these problems. It's a learning process for both of us. We're doing math, we're doing reading, we're doing social studies. And so now it is not, okay, I don't even want to do this, because when I think teacher as a student, it's either right or wrong, or, you know, it's an evaluation coming. No, don't put that pressure on yourself nor your child. So you break it up in small chunks, 30 minutes chunks, and then you are that child's study partner. You go through the material, you work it slowly, you make sure it's self-paced. Don't give them a timer. We have the 55 minutes timer formally. They don't. You don't at home. You're flexible, okay? And then, of course, provide quality feedback. Another thing quickly that I wanted to go through is, like we said, the rigid scheduling and what's not that teachers have. You don't have it. So that's another thing we kept hearing all evening. You don't have that. So be more flexible, be more open. Listen to your child. That's another thing. Speak with your child at the junior high level. They're still in between playing and that senior high. So what you do, you sort of sit down with them and you say, okay, let's work up this schedule together. Give me 2 or 3 hours out of your day. I have 30 minutes chunks that I'm going to give you your work in. So 30 minutes of language, math, then we go to social studies, then we go to science, or what's not. We just keep that in rotation, right? Or every other day. What do you want to do? How would you want us to take this, you know, an approach to this? Do you want worksheet? Would you want to try something online virtually? You know, try to make it more creative and get their input, because it isn't like with school where they tell us we have a curriculum, we know we got to meet the BJC standards, and so we tell the children more so. But now that you're home, get the input from them, all right? And then lastly, my last and final point is talking about being flexible and allowing for downtime. Everybody needs downtime. You know how we feel when we have those substitutions during our free period, where we want to duck and go high because we need to breathe? Well, it's the same thing for the child, okay? Give them time for recreation. All of this is a part of learning, okay? And don't try to hurt your head so much about resources as well. With language arts, it's kind of easy, because if I were to take a topic like nouns, okay, let's say, for instance, I want to go over nouns with my child, right? I could use resources right at home. I don't really need a book for that. I can take a picture of a trip where we went. Okay, what type of noun is this? All right, this is a proper noun showing us of which place, of Rome. How do you know it's a proper noun? Because it names a specific person, place, or thing. So right at home, they were able to identify something that they experienced and link it to nouns, okay? So you could use things right in the home that you can, you know, that you could use as resources. If you can't go online, because not everybody, you know, may have the access to do that kind of stuff. So try to make it as relatable and as easy, but quality for both you and your child as well, all right? So that's basically what I wanted to share with you, those few points. If anyone has any questions related to the BJC or anything that I said, I'm willing and open.
That was a good presentation. A lot of times we get caught up, even as educated parents, we get caught up in having this structure because, you know, for us, we're educators. And then all of a sudden, parents have been given this new role to be a teacher. But all of us just need some time to just take a break. Take a break from it, realize that you are just facilitating learning. You're ensuring that the kids are engaged, right? You're ensuring that they're enjoying what they're doing. If the child isn't enjoying it, you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna be crying and they're gonna be crying. Everybody crying. And who isn't crying, hollering? You know, so at this, and right now we have time. That's the thing. We're working with time right now. We're not working with necessarily with a structure that's boom, 9 o'clock, boom, 10 o'clock. We don't really have to work within those parameters right now. So flexibility is key. That was an excellent presentation, Moika. Now, anybody has any questions for any panelists at this point? you had some things that popped in your head while someone was talking, or you have your own experience of what you did while we've been locked down. Let's hear about it. Have you had some horror stories? Have you had some successes? Let's hear about what you did or exactly what it is that you're trying to get done at home. Okay, Moika, go ahead.
Hi, it's more so, I forgot, I think it was Gia who had asked about her child with the virtual stuff. I think
Yeah, but
it was
Gia's phone is
Gia,
gone
I think.
down. Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But if anybody, for anybody, anyone else who has a child who is into like the virtual and the going online, Minecraft, Microsoft Education has a Minecraft edition where they actually take social studies, language arts, math, and they integrate it into the game.
Yeah.
So if your child plays Minecraft already, then you can go on the Microsoft Education page and you could get them to play the game, and they'll give tasks that are content related. So that's something I wanted to share.
Okay. So is there any other questions before I move into my little spiel? I won't take long. I just want to remind you guys that incorporating art within a day. I'm an art teacher, so of course I'm going to speak on arts. Incorporating art within a day is key. You know, a lot of times you get so frustrated you don't know what to do. It's very relaxing. Nobody is asking you to be Picasso or Michelangelo. Get a piece of paper with your child. You can have an activity and you say, how do you feel today? How was today? Allow them to express themselves with drawing. Allow your little kindergartners to color. It helps with fine motor skills. My baby say, who, me? It helps with fine motor skills. Allow your preteens to create projects, because it helps with critical thinking. If they have to build something, they have to think on how that's going to be made. Even if they're doing a little crafty, they have to think about that. That encourages critical thinking. And then your high schoolers, they get a little bit more tricky because nobody want color, nobody want paint, nobody want to do anything. But at the same time, you can have them do like some online graphics. There are a lot of graphic softwares online that are free. Let them go ahead and research those things and allow them to express themselves. Now, just for the fun of it, and I know all of you have tissue paper rolls in your house, so I've placed tissue paper roll crafts in the comments. I want to see pictures of these crafts. Don't tell me that you're not gonna do it, because I want to see it. Okay, I'm gonna send you an email. Please send me a picture of your toilet paper roll. And I put it there because, you know, just to be a little lighthearted, people were stocking up on toilet paper. I still don't really know why. And it's everywhere around the world they did that. So there must be, yeah, the graphics is a good idea for high schoolers, Carolyn. So there must be a lot of tissue paper roll in your home. All right. And so just have some fun with it. Let them relax. And unwind, please unwind. We are allowed to go outside in our perimeters, in our yard. Go sit under the tree, sit on the porch, sit in the door. Don't go on the road, but sit in the yard. Just relax. Let some vitamin D come to your skin. You know, that sun, we need the sun. You know, it keeps us sharp, actually. Keeps our mind sharp. All right. So to end our session tonight, I'm going to go ahead and allow our speakers, because I don't see any questions, I'm going to allow our speakers to give us their last pointers for the night. I'm going to, let me see, Sally. I'm going to unmute everybody at one time. So we're going to start with Carolyn, then Sally, and then Moika. So be reminded all your mics are open.
I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to come and join you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
I completely agree with our other amazing speakers that the biggest thing that we need to remember is that we're in this together. We have to be flexible.
Right.
We have to be willing to adapt. And everything is subject to change, but the most important thing to remember with your family is your role to create a safe place for your family right now, with enjoyment and engagement.
Right.
But the learning will come, and trust your judgment. And I'm here to help. I know that well, we can talk about that later. But I'm here to help if as a support for teachers and parents that I can share that information at the end.
Go ahead and drop it in again, Carolyn, so we could have it there. Sally?
Okay, the same, like Carolyn also, like I said, is not, thank you for this opportunity. And so it gives me time to at least reach out to teachers as well as parents, because that was one for me. Teaching is a passion, and one of the things is, how are we gonna, while we say being a downtown, we still have to look beyond reality and
Right.
say, and what it is that we can do so that they do not get left far behind. And for I cannot stress this enough, especially Edward's made a point in terms of the national exam. We don't know in my purview and where I'm standing. It's we know for sure BGCSE is an international exam, so
Right.
there's nothing so much we can do with Cambridge decide that they're not going to send persons or they won't be able to mark. But remember, we back in the days we had BJC. It's our exam, and so they probably would make a decision as to whether or not what they're gonna do with that. And so, if you have a child who is sitting BJC, like along with I can't remember the other speaker's name. I just see Galaxy. Well,
Oh, that's Moika.
Moisha's saying, Moisha, what you need to do is take advantage of those sites where they have a lot of BJC and geography skills and examination skills. And for the social studies, let them finish their coursework. Make sure you get that out of the way. And then just focus on studying. So don't stress your ninth graders are in terms of so much learning. Go to the virtual school, let them take advantage of it. That's your work already done right there. And so that's one student. Basically, all you're doing is monitoring and making sure that they do the work that is provided for them. You don't have to provide the work, because there are tons and tons of resources that is there. All your job is to make sure that they get it done. And don't worry too much. I'm my child doing this work, and quality to grade it. No, that's not the important part. If you're not sure, and if you want those parents, and you're a teacher like myself, and I want to make sure that my child is doing it correctly, then I know support. Like Carolyn said, find a support. Reach out to teachers, reach out to myself. If you want to send a piece of coursework and you say, I just need you to check it to make sure that my student is doing right or doing it okay, yeah, but don't expect for me to answer you right away, but I guarantee I would make sure that you get the response, because that's basically what I still do. I miss being out of the classroom. So teachers are so thank you so much. And my last word, be safe.
Yeah.
Meditate. I'm gonna go there. Know that where your strength and your help come from. This is the time you look up to him, and he will always get you through it. Have hope.
Yes.
This too shall pass.
Right.
And so I end with that.
Thank you. Moika?
All right, I just wanted to remind you, take baby steps with your kids. Do not try to pile them up with the same 55 minutes worth of work that you would have in school, all right, in physical school. Break it up, take your time, make it self-paced. Even if you just do 15 minutes of reading every day of a book with your child, that even can work, all right, because it's still repetition, they're still practicing a skill. So as it was said, I enjoyed it tonight. Thank you for having me. Be safe and continue to work, and Godspeed.
All right, so that ends our session. All of the links that we talked about tonight, we will send you an email with everything in it. And also feel free to reach out if you need any assistance, and I'll do the best I can to link you with somebody who can help you. All right, thank you again, and do enjoy, stay safe. And I see where someone said that the Prime Minister said make dolls and clothes. Go make some dolls and clothes and stay in the house.
And and make their household chore a part of their lesson. You don't have to have a lesson. You got a science project and when they cooking, any sequence, English can come in there sequencing everything, but they learn. And so even if you can't get that, you got to go back to what we used to do.
Yes. All right. Good night, all. Thanks for coming.